What's up, guys? So today we have an exceptional guest with us. She's not only a screenwriter for Nollywood, which is what she's mostly known for,
but also she's a writer, director, and editor of the short film called Heart and Might. And along with that, she is the author for the book Becoming a Spectacular Woman. And all this she did before turning 30.
In fact, she's truly a multi-talented entrepreneur. She even has courses on becoming a screenwriter for those who want to realize their dream.
So please join us on picking the brain of the immensely talented Toluwani Obayan.
Hope you enjoy. Yeah, this is really cool. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you for
amazing.
having me.
Yeah, we have a small channel. This is amazing. We're very excited to talk to you. This is really cool. You're a very inspirational person. So this is
Wow.
very exciting for both of us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I've seen your channel. I know what you do. It's amazing. First time I came across it, I was like, wow, I didn't know that we had so many people all over the world watching Nollywood and being interested in our films. And I love the heart that you put into the reaction. It was really authentic. Thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you. It's our pleasure. I mean, I think me and Benny kind of started this during the pandemic. And it was like a kind of like a book club for us. Like we were like, we want to expand our knowledge about African industry. And we came to know then that Nollywood is such a big industry. And then we started looking at things and we really started enjoying the process. I mean, we didn't think much of it at the time, but now we just like love doing it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And also we find that there's quite some similarity between the cultures, Indian culture and Nigerian culture. And that's really intriguing. And that's what comes across to us through all these movies and trailers. And we see that, there's quite so many things that we are similar in where we can relate to, right? Even the issues that people are going through, even how things are taken in a lighthearted manner, no matter what problems people are facing. We're always, laughing it off, how we celebrate life, all those things, the colors. There are so many things in that are similar.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's why Nigerians and Indians tend to get along really well. I have a few friends that are from India, some are from Pakistan, and it's like there's just this innate connection. Like you wouldn't get it would be there, but yeah.
That's amazing. So, we were kind of like researching a little bit about you. Obviously, we wanted to have an educated discussion with you. And we came to know that you wanted to become a director first, and but you took some courses in screenwriting, and then you said the rest is history. So my question is, you have also made a short film, I think it's called Heart and Might.
Yes.
So what does screenwriting give you more that is that directing doesn't?
I think that's a really interesting question because for a while I was feeling really divided between the two, but I guess more recently I started realizing that maybe the writing part is where my heart really is. Because unless you're a writer-director, the screenwriter tends to explore the world of the story before anyone else. It's a really intimate relationship. You meet the characters first. You meet the conflicts first. You experience it. You cry with your keyboard first before anyone ever sees it. So it's really intimate and it's really I feel like the process there is extremely creative before anyone else sees it. It's almost like carrying a baby in your womb for 9 months, and then the baby comes out and people are like, oh, this baby looks like the mom. Like, people interact with the baby, but before anybody else gets to interact with the child, you're already interacting with it, feeling every kick, feeling every mood swing, like that. I think so. That's what I love about screenwriting in comparison to directors. Directors will tell you something similar, I guess. That's why it's their first love. But for me, I like the fact that I'm the first person that gets to experience the world and the characters.
That's amazing. So in that context, I have another question, meaning, when you are creating these characters, so they, like, for example, when we read a book, there might be 5, 6 characters, but we always have a favorite. So do you ever have to fight with the personal bias you might have against a character? Like, I like this character more, but I also need to focus on this one. Is there ever a scenario like that?
Um, Not exactly. And I would say the reason for that is because most times when I'm writing, I tend to know who the story is about. So when I'm developing a screenplay, story arc, and everything, whoever the story is about would determine the other characters as well, because that's why they call them supporting characters. So whatever we see in a supporting character helps us appreciate the main character more, understand the main character more, or be upset with the main character more. But everything, like all roads lead to that main character or the ensemble cast. So based on that, it's never really like I prefer this character to that character. It's more like, okay, maybe this character is funnier, so I enjoy writing these funny lines for this person. But then at the end of the day, these funny lines reflecting on my main character in ways that would make the audience connect better.
Mm,
So it's like they all have the parts played. So I think it's a really fair relationship with all of them in that sense.
okay, that's great. Yeah, go on.
Like, I wanted to ask one thing. I have always had this thought that at the end of the day, the movie is always called the director's movie, right? Coming back to the director question, because no matter what the script is and no matter what it is always, his direction and his vision of it. So don't you ever feel that, I mean, you have even directed a short film, and from being wanting to become a director, you went to become a script writer. So do you feel you want to become a director sometime later in life, maybe script writing and becoming a director altogether?
I'm thinking about it. I might be in the process of making something, but it's a tough question for me, because for me, directing is like, if I'm this is a bit difficult for me to answer, but I've been told that I'm very, very into story. And I've heard that there's supposed to be a balance between story and visuals for directing. I'm not bad with visuals. I love visuals, but many times if the story isn't right, I get stuck. So I'm not sure if I found the perfect balance. Doing a short film is still directing, but then it's over a shorter time frame than actually a feature-length film where there'll be many more characters and where there's so many moving pieces that could be frustrating for a person who is very, very fixed on telling the story correctly. So I know I'm interested in it. Everything for me, at the heart of everything is just a story. So if I can direct in a way that my story doesn't suffer, if I can get a team together that gets the vision, so it's going to be beautiful. But I'm not fully decided yet. Right now, I know I love writing, but directing, I'm still trying to figure that out. That's my honest answer. Still work in progress.
Well, I think you've already done a lot, right? You have directed, you've been a screenwriter, you've written a book, you give courses on screenwriting. Like, it's amazing. And so
Thank you.
yeah, so in that context, like screenwriting, like, how has that impacted you personally? Meaning, like, for example, before I came into the tech sector, I do a tech job, and it has definitely impacted me in a way that I prioritize better. I'm very analytical now. I can handle pressure better. I have to be able to do that. Do you think screenwriting has given you some value in that sense, in your personal growth as a person?
I think so, yes. By the way, I love what you do, because I have 2 friends who are in the tech industry, and it's hard work. It's intense. And, like, you're at the forefront of innovation. So thank you for the work.
Oh, thank you.
But with screenwriting, I think it's changed me in a sense, or I don't know if it's changed me, but maybe it's helped me come more fully into my person, because there was a time when it was very connected to my identity. I don't know if I'm going to be here, but it was very connected to who I saw myself as. I would write, and people's reaction to my work would really get to me. They'd be like, if they don't like it, I have failed. If they love it, I'm doing well. And that was really problematic because I think there's a place where it comes to a place where you have to separate yourself from your work. Your work has imprints of who you are, but it's not who you are. The judgment of your work is not judgment of you. So I've been in that process of learning. It's helped me grow in that sense, because to do the best work you can possibly do, you have to let the work be work. It's not about you. It can't be something selfish. It can't be about ambition. It can't be about pride or fulfillment in a selfish sense. It's supposed to serve the viewer. It's supposed to serve the audience. So if you get criticism that is that's honest, you take it on and say, okay, I need to do this better. Maybe I was trying to communicate, but they didn't get it. So maybe for my next film, I would write a character differently, or I would say something different in this part, or I'll design it better from the narrative descriptions and everything. So it's something I'm really learning. It helped me develop in that sense. It's about the work. Because what makes this really interesting is the industry is also like showbiz, right? So the fact that you're out there many times, you can forget that it's not really about you, it's about the work you do. I'm trying to strike that balance now between really doing the work and knowing that, okay, this might be in the limelight, but even when it's in the limelight and my name is out there, it really isn't about me, it's about the story, right? And then making that the focus and being professional about it. So yes, it's helped me become much more professional. It's helped me plan my time better, because it's not like a day job that it's not 9 to 5 that you clock in, but you need to show up and write pages. I need to deliver to the producers or the directors. And at first I feel like I'm not inspired yet. I can't write. I don't feel inspired. But then the clock will be counting down, and I have a few days to submit the first drafts. But now I found it better with them, knowing that okay, once I get the first intensive to write, I start writing. I have a time frame. I can tell them that you'll get this in a few weeks. You can get this in a month. So yes, it's made me more disciplined. It's made me more in touch with who I am and what the work is. I hope that answers. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. Definitely. So in that process, I have another question. So in a nutshell too, you said you have become thick-skinned in the sense this is my work and this is me. How do you, was that something you organically developed, or did you have to do some work on yourself to detach yourself from from the work being part of your, like from the work being you? It's part of who you are or what you do, but it's not you. Was there some internal work you had to do, or it just came with experience, with so much experience screenwriting?
I think it had to be, it was something I did deliberately, actually. It didn't just happen organically. I think it happened organically when I decided to deliberately do it, but it wasn't something that just happened, because I had to take some time off and just really sit back and understand why I was doing what I was doing. And personally for me, I don't know if you're going to ask about that later, but personally, I do this because I want things to be better.
Right.
There are just a lot of things in my country, in the society, that I'm not really happy about. And I found that in telling stories, I could address those issues without it being super serious, without it being a lecture, making it more experiential through storytelling. And when you remember why you do something, that becomes the most important thing. And when I remembered why, I had to go through the steps. So if I'm doing it for this reason, these attacks, like I said, are not about me, or this applause is not even about me, because I could get an award, but I could look at the script and say, I didn't really get that part right, but everyone loves it. I could still do better. So either way, it's about the why. And if I can make sure that every time, applause or not, it keeps getting better, so that more lives are touched, more things are changed, that's when I knew that I've done my work. There was more about that, detaching it from myself, like I said. And I had to be very deliberate about it. And I had to journal a lot, had to think through it, had to discuss with friends and family. Yeah.
That's
Had to
amazing.
pray about it.
Yeah, that brings up a very interesting thought in my head. Like, you know, meaning your philosophy, you said, is great work, period, irrespective of what the industry is, what genre you're in. But on YouTube, like, for example, as a YouTuber, it's like if people are not searching for the topic you're working on, your work might be great, but you won't get very far. So my question is, how do you align great work with the business acumen that, okay, I am interested in making something amazing, but no one cares about it, or very few people care about it. How do I make profit out of it? Like, how do you go about with something like that? Or do you not think about business in that sense?
I started thinking about business much more than I used to, because before it was all about, oh, I want to be creative. And then there was no money coming in because I was just trying to be all about art. But nowadays I'm thinking about it much more. And I think it's part of why I've also been able to thankfully collaborate with the type of people I've collaborated with. Kayode Kasum was on with you, and he's a great director. And he's also someone that's really good at spotting talent. So getting to work with him has been one of the ways, I guess, I have learned to monetize a bit better. But that's still not all of it. I've had to interact with friends and family too, who have told me that, Toluwani, this is wonderful what you're doing, but how does this work in the future? How does this work when you're growing a family? So in doing that, I've had to consider all of these things, and in ways you see me put myself out there, it's been on that basis, not necessarily because I love being out there, but because in being out there to an extent, your work is known more, and then you get more jobs, and you get potential clients. If you're doing a course, people would sign up for the course, things like that. So I guess that's the balance. I'm still finding it, my rhythm. It's not like it's perfect yet.
Right.
Yes, I'm just growing.
Yeah, it's a tough
Right.
industry, right? All the movie industries are, you have to network, you have to put yourself out there, and especially if you're introverted, it's like you have to get out of your shell and show yourself. So this is one of, I think this industry in globally, like, is one of the toughest industries to be in. So I think people like you are like very strong people, like other people, many people
Wow.
would not be able to handle it.
Right.
I don't even know if I'm handling it, but thank you for that. That's a vote of confidence. Thank you.
All
I'm
right.
sure you're handling it well. Okay, come on.
Yeah. Tell us about any project which is closest to your heart. What would that be?
A project that's already out, or anyone I'm working on, or anyone. Okay.
Anyone.
Currently, so we're working on a sequel to, I've already finished writing the script anyway, for the sequel to This Lady Called Life. And
Okay.
I'm
Right.
really, really excited about the direction in which it's going. And I can't say too much if it's not out, but it's dear to my heart because it touches the whole idea behind This Lady Called Life. The first one plus the sequel is about touching on issues in a way that brings it really close to home. And in the sequel, we managed to bring it to Obina's direction. I don't know if you remember the character Obina that was the lead's love interest.
Yes.
So it's now about him. In the first part, we focus on Aye. Now in this part, we still focus on his issues, but through her eyes. And it's one of the issues that many men, I guess, in countries like Africa, go through, but silently, because it's something that could bring a lot of shame. And I was happy that we got to touch on it. And from feedback I got, even just from the crew, I feel like it's really going to reach a lot of hearts, and it's going to hopefully change a lot of the ways we do things in Africa, in cultures like ours. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh my gosh, that's really exciting to know. I think This Lady Called Life is one of my top favorites, Nollywood movies. I think it was so beautifully done. And I was a very, very introverted person in earlier in my life, I guess. And I saw her, and I could so relate to her. She would imagine talking to someone and she wouldn't. It was just it didn't require so many words to portray what she was going through, and I loved that movie. It was so subtle and beautifully done. So I'm very
Thank you.
excited. All the actors were awesome. I'm very
Yes,
excited
thank
about
you.
this.
Thank
Especially,
you.
we were discussing this, me and Drew. How the mother, she's very dominating,
Mm-hmm.
and then we see why she's like that. Suddenly you see her perspective, why she's like that. And I was discussing this with Drew, that this is so amazingly portrayed. It's not so many words, but it's just, you just realize, oh bang, okay, this is why she's like that. You get the realization as to why a person is being like this. And that's a beautiful portrayal of things.
Thank
It's a
you.
good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Like
Um,
most of us, and like how many people we see people do things, right?
Right.
And maybe we don't understand. Like people are not just mean. Maybe there are a few people that are though, but for the most part, everyone has a story, and many times when you get to hear the story, you maybe tend to empathize a little more. It doesn't excuse the behavior, but it gives context. Like, okay, this makes sense now. If I was in her shoes, maybe I would have reacted the same way. I can't tell. So it's just, that's what I was trying to do there. So I'm really grateful that I came across. So thank you.
Yeah.
so in that context, also, I have a question. Do you think, I mean, it might be a personal preference, but do you think screenwriters, directors, or creators in general in the movie industry have a societal responsibility? Do you take any societal responsibility? Because you did talk about, men's issues in your sequel. So do you personally take some societal responsibility with the work that you do?
I do definitely. It's not everyone that feels that way. Some people are like pure entertainment. And even in pure entertainment, I think it's a societal responsibility because life can be really serious. So when you're
Right.
entertaining, I guess it's doing something good too. But for me, it's deeper, I guess, because first of all, I studied mass communication for my first degree. And for my project dissertation, I did something on the perceived influence of recurrent themes of Nollywood movies on social cultural development. And then for my master's, I did something, the musical lyrical protest on film and issues on race. So it's not something that I'm doing from a place of, I'm not doing it haphazardly. It's something that has always been on my heart right from time, in terms of looking at from the academic angle to the practical angle and actually putting it in film. So I'm really deliberate about wanting to tell and those types of stories. And anytime I've gotten stories that I can't really see where it's going in terms of that, I really don't feel fulfilled. I don't really feel excited about doing it because there are people that are psychologists, but I feel like I'm using film to touch on those things in a way that maybe a therapist would, or I might change my mind later and maybe want to explore more, but that's where it is right now.
And it's a journey, right? Like maybe in a different phase in life, you might have different ideas, but it's a creative avenue. And yeah, I mean, I'm nowhere like close to what you do, but that's what I feel like, in YouTube, they say, oh, you have to stick to a niche, you have to do a genre. But then if you follow those lines, like it takes away the fun of what you want to do, so that's where I get conflicted. I'm like, do I follow that advice? The point is, if people know you and you have done good work, you can follow your heart. And
yeah,
this is
exactly.
exactly
Well, we are
right.
alive. We're not robots, right? So we have to explore.
Right. So in that sense, do you feel that you said in one of your interviews that you have intertribal ancestry, that you know different
Wow.
regions? So do you think that helps your work? And if so, how? I'm sure, because in India, I don't know as much about Nigerian diversity. I'm sure it's very diverse, but considering how similar it is to India, like north to west is completely different. It's like in two different countries almost. It's like language is different, topography is different, people look different, people eat different things. So Yeah, and a blend of those things is always amazing. I think a blend of anything is amazing. But what is your take on that?
Well, like like you asked, definitely it's had a huge influence on me for a while. I guess until I was maybe 10, because a part of my upbringing was in the UK. My family and I was there till I was 9, from when I was 6. So we moved back, and so until I was around 10, I didn't really understand that there were not many families. Like there's some families, but it wasn't the most common thing to have that level of mixing. Because I have some Yoruba blood, some Igbo blood, some Northern blood. Like it's like from almost every side of the country. Because my mom was from
Wow.
one side, my dad, his mom, his dad. So everything just really mixed nicely, and I have names from different languages. My name is Toluwani, like my main name, I guess. I have another one, Olesadipa, which is Edo. I have an Igbo name, different things. You might not know all these tribes I'm calling, but I have names from everywhere. So it affects my perspective because I don't look at people for the most part and see them as othered. They're not there. I feel like we're all together in a sense. An Igbo person can be going through something and I feel detached from it because this could be my family. Same thing with someone from the north, or it's like I feel everything that's happening everywhere, and I can't detach myself from it. And I try to make it reflect in my stories. In this lady called Life, for instance, I and Obina are from 2 different tribes. In Ponzi, the same thing happens. I mixed that whole thing up there. In the sequel that's coming out too, that happens as well. I tend to do it because Nigeria is a country that's really struggling in terms of unity. And a lot of our issues are based on the level of disunity. We can't seem to make up our minds on what we want to do in the direction we want to go. Many times the presidents are chosen by tribe. This tribe got it last time, that tribe should get it next time. This tribe isn't happy because different reasons that should not be the reason for people ruling. And I don't see the world like that. So it's affected my worldview, definitely.
Right. You have this book that you have written, Becoming a Spectacular Woman. In that, like you have talked about how society and our elders, they always tell us to cover up things. You know, if you're feeling your negatives, right? You cover them up, your flaws, your mistakes, your raw emotions, you need to cover them up. That is what society and our elders always tell us to do. But you in your book are trying to tell us that we need to be ourselves, you know, be honest about what you are, portraying that, and that's the best way to become spectacular, right? And you also say that, you know, you are calling out for women to live out their godly heritage. Can you tell us what you mean by that, living out their godly heritage?
Well, first of all, thank you. Like, you both do your research. Like, I'm really surprised. Wow. Thank you
We're
so much
inspired by you.
for that. Thank you. Wow, I'm inspired by you too. I'm like, this is wow. Okay. Becoming a Spectacular Woman. I wrote the book in a place where I was, I guess, coming out from a lot of confusion. Maybe like I had tried to do both ends, where you're this to some people, you're this at home. And interestingly, even after the book, it's still something I had to struggle with, being comfortable with just being myself. And I had to give the backdrop of growing up to an extent in the UK and then coming back to Nigeria. Living internationally, living in the West especially, you can talk, you can say what's on your mind. There's a lot of freedom of speech. It's not seen as disrespectful. I also grew up with parents who encouraged that even when we got back to Nigeria, but then you leave the house and your expressiveness is seen as disrespect, and then you start calming down, you start holding back because you don't want to offend, you don't want to be the bad child, and it can confuse a child who is still in developmental stages. So it was a space where I was really just trying to get my voice back, and I didn't want to be restrained anymore. And like I said, the godly heritage, I don't even think is something that is so aloof or mysterious. Just be who God made you to be free, be true, be honest about where you are. it's part of why I say things like I'm still on a journey, because I'm not going to box myself into a space where I'm still figuring things out, and then tomorrow I change it and it's like, well, you told me this is who you are. No, this is who I am today. And tomorrow, when I learn more again, I would adapt, because if I'm in foolishness today, I'm not going to stay in foolishness because that's where I was yesterday. So that's what the book really is about. Just be spectacular, live in love, live in joy, live in peace, live in hope and gentleness, everything that the Bible talks about as the fruits of the Spirit. Yeah. Let go
Oh,
of the baggage.
that gave me the
Let go.
chills. It's so relatable in many ways too. Because
Oh,
you know, me growing up in India and then me coming to the US, I mean, it expands your horizons, but it's also very
yeah.
tough to go from one country to another. And
What made it tough for you?
sorry?
What made it tough for you? Like, what was the hardest part for you?
It was you know, it was a slow culture shock over 6 years or something, you know, slowly. Because yes, in the US, like people are very civil, but they're not as intimate as Indian
That's true.
friends would
That's
be.
true.
So civility is a
Yeah.
big thing, but you can't just drop in at your friend's place and be like, hey, you want to hang out? It's like, you should have checked with me or something, you know. It's a culture shock. And those are more intricate parts of the culture that kind of get to you. I mean, of course, India has its flaws and US has its flaws, but as an Indian, there was a point of time when I felt like I can't count on people because no one is a real friend. But the definition of real friendship is different in the US. You know, it's more like a barter system. You do this for me, I will do this for you. Not always, but largely that's the accepted norm. And I had a tough time. I felt I had an identity crisis after a few years. I'm like, who am I? What am I about? You know. So I understand, like,
Absolutely.
you have to do some work, you have to keep doing some work on yourself, which is what I did, you know, because I saw. And then coming to a third country, traveling, you see both countries with a very neutral perspective, and that
Yes.
helps you as a
Like,
person.
that's a
So
gift, actually.
yeah, to be able to do that, right, even that is a privilege. Like, not very many people can experience something like that, and I got to experience it.
I
So
agree.
I relate to what you just said. Like, it expands you as a person, but it also, I feel like I became more comfortable in my skin because it made me question who I was about, and becoming the better version of myself. That
That's
was
wonderful.
the gist of it. Yeah. So in terms of, you did talk about This Lady Called Life and Ponzi. So
Yes.
So those are two very, very vastly different genres. Do you have a favorite genre that is closer to your heart, and also how do you pick genres? Like, would you pick any genre to write on? Like, would you write on crime, or does it have to resonate with you in a certain way?
I think for the most part, in picking genre, I look for what would serve the story best. So when I know why I'm telling a story, I kind of feel around for where story will be communicated best. Some stories like Ponzi, I didn't feel Ponzi would be good as being too serious because the issues underlying were already serious enough. So I needed it to just be like satirical. And I had some experience already before writing it. I had worked on a show called The Other News, which was Nigeria's first political news satire show, almost like the Daily Show. And so there I had gotten some experience in taking things that were very serious and making them funny. So I used some of the tools I had used over at The Other News to develop the narrative for fun. I couldn't see, it wasn't a This Lady Called Life. This Lady Called Life at least had some food, it had some elements that even as it was serious, it was not, it wasn't, what's the word? I'm looking for a word. It wasn't horrific. It wasn't like torture. It's always like trying to strike the balance because it's an emotional ride for people and you have to find the balance of what would make it consumable, but also still communicate. So I guess that's what informs the type of films I write or the genres I pick. So far, I think I really like drama. drama with a touch of comedy, but I'm still exploring that drama. I love satire, definitely, but I've done more of dramas than I have of satires. Once in a while, I think I've done some very basic crime. Yeah.
But that's the toughest thing to do, right? Like me and Benny always talk about it. Like how do you even write something like Ponzi with humor? Like that is so tough to convey that message, which is about such a exploitative scheme that happened with humor. Is a superlative talent in my eyes. Like, and I see that theme in Nigeria. Like, it's amazing. It's almost poetic to me how someone does that. Something so serious in a with a with a flavor of humor in it.
Thank you. Thank you. But if you look at the funny thing is that life is kind of like that. You look at things happening that should be terrible, and then we find out, like you said, I think it was Benny that said it, that we're laughing over issues that should not be funny at all. But we find humor in it every day, and it's how we survive. So I guess it's part of a reflection. It's a coping mechanism sometimes to find the funny in things that are despicable. I think
Yes, we both have discussed this more than once, that how it's always the worst things that become the funniest of things, you know. And even when we look back on things, on experiences that were bad for us, that were horrendous for us, later on we laugh at it. You remember the time this happened, and then we laugh at it like it was something so funny. So this is true. I mean, we always laugh at things that are actually horrible, but it is funny. It is funny. Okay, you said that you love drama. So tell me, do you watch any Indian drama? Do you watch any Indian TV films?
I haven't been watching as much lately, but I had a few faves like back in the day, like Kavi Kushi Kavi.
Oh,
Right.
that is
I
really
really love
drama. That's a lot of drama there.
Yeah.
I love it. And then
Loads of drama.
like it was so long, and then it goes from one country to I loved it. Then I love Three Idiots. Three Idiots, I can still sing because I sing too, so I can still sing the songs for a lot of the ones I watched. Then Mad, I don't know if you know Mad, it's really old. Was Amitabh Bachchan.
Yes.
Was in it.
Mard. Oh, Mard. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I can even say some lines from it. So yes, I've loved Indian film. I haven't been watching as much lately because I do much more reading these days. But yeah, I love the industry. It's inspired me a lot in different ways. I love the way Bollywood took on, like, it didn't try to take on Hollywood. That's how I feel about it. It did its own thing, and it became a force to be reckoned with because quality is really good, but then it's not pretentious for the most part. And yeah, I love it. So I think Bollywood gave Nollywood the permission to an extent to just do its thing. Because I know it was there, it was already in the space much longer before Nollywood started really doing films on this level. So us seeing people just take on culture and just be themselves inspired us, like, okay, we can do this. We don't have to speak with American accents in our movies. We can speak our languages too if we want to. So yes, I love Bollywood. I respect it a lot.
Yeah, there was a period of time when Bollywood was copying somewhat of Hollywood, but I think the South industry also showed so much originality that then Bollywood was taking on the South industry, and now there are directors like Sanjay Leela Bansali. I feel he really is ingrained in the culture. He's like, you can be inspired by the Italian philosophies and that,
right.
but our own culture is amazing. Why do we have to go somewhere else when our own country is so inspiring? And I feel like Nigeria is amazing. Like just even I have some friends from Africa, and all the things they tell me about their countries, I'm like, these countries should be making more movies, because it's such a fascinating culture.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
What's the name of the director you mentioned? I want to check out his work.
I'll text you that, but he's
Okay.
Sanjay Leela Bansali, and he's actually from me and Benny's state. We come from a
Oh,
state called Gujarat, so he really captures the essence of Gujarat, and his films are he has a certain style, and he
Wow.
like his films are cinematic, and he takes the time to capture the shots, and they're high budget films, but he captures the essence of the culture very well.
yeah. There's one of his very popular films is Dev Das. You can have a look at that. It was a really grand theatrical kind of thing. Another movie is Padmavat. So these are really good movies. You can choose any of these and you'll find a good flavor of what he shows. You know, it's really grand, it's really theatrical, and a good portrayal of culture and history, all that.
Thank you. I'm definitely going to look into it, and I will tell you
Yeah.
how my experience. I'll
Right.
share with you.
Those are long
Thank you.
movies. It might take you time to look at those. Those
Long.
are very,
How long?
very. How long? I think, like for example, his first most popular movie, Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam, was over 2 hours long, close to 3 hours.
Hmm.
What
His
does it
movies
mean?
are, which means I already gave my heart. It's a sentence.
Oh, wow.
It's a love
I've given
story.
my heart away.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's an interesting movie. I mean, that's what made him popular in India. I think that was his first most popular movie, if I'm not wrong. I think so. Yeah. So in that he
Hmm.
captures our the culture of our state, but he has done other movies where he captures cultures of other states too. But he has a kinship for our state.
Like I think I watched your interview with him where he said something about like he was trying to do something to Lagos State. Like so we have a few directors here in Nigeria that are coming up and trying to do kind of love stories with their country, with their state, with their people. So like I think art is such a wonderful avenue for expression in that sense.
All right. Tell us any Nigerian director whom you have not yet worked with but would love to.
There's this director, she hasn't put so much work out yet, but she has this film coming out called No Man's Land. Her name is Blessing Uzi. And I love her cinematic eye. She's the kind of person that she just imagines shots, and by the time you see those shots, you're like, wow, this is so beautiful. And she's also really good. She's really good. I'm sorry, please give me 2 seconds.
No worries.
She's really
You
good.
know, Benny does that all the time. So don't
Wow,
edit
okay,
it out. You just don't see it in the final edit.
Okay, I was like, wow, this is really good. Thank you.
Right.
Like
And,
Blessing Uzi,
okay.
she's really good. I would love to work with her. I think so far she's the one that has been on my radar. I've seen some others. I've already worked with maybe myself. If I decide to direct, I would love to work myself. But this I have to think through it a little bit more. But most recently, I thought of like I would like to do a film with Blessing Uzi because she's going to do things in the industry, I guess, that many people haven't thought of doing or haven't thought of possibly. You can just check it out. This trailer for No Man's Land. You really like, okay, wow, this looks good. And she's young. She's not yet 30. And she's doing amazing work.
That's amazing. Look at you, like you, Kayuri, and the person you mentioned. All of you are so young, and you're like, you guys are doing so awesome. It's so cool. I've not seen like this kind of a trend, at least. Maybe.
Yeah, actually, that was what I was just going to say. That Nigerian, at least Nollywood, it kind of represents youth and youth creativity, and you know, it's empowering the youth. I see you are so young. We interviewed Kayode Kasum. He's so young, and you people have achieved so much already. I mean, I'm intrigued as to what more we are going to get from you guys. It's lovely that so many young people are doing so much. It's good.
I think personally it might be a thing of not even personally. Like Nigerians are really looking for a way to express. There's a lot going on, and there's only so much you can say. Like you're from India, so you'd understand the level of expression you can have, I guess, directly. So when you get to say things through a medium, you shout it as loud as you can, as early as you can. So maybe that's part of it.
Actually, Coyote said something similar to this. It was like, there are many things that you are not allowed to, but you can say it in a subtle manner through movies.
Yeah.
He did mention something of a similar kind. So what also comes to my mind is when you have, any kind of repression or any kind of struggle that you have to go through, your creativity comes at the best, because you're trying to say something without really saying it. It's not really in the quotes, but you have said it, and that comes out very beautifully. Actually, it's like a plant coming out from the cracks in the tiles or the walls. It's like that. It's so beautiful.
Yes, that's so poetic, actually. Yeah. Yes.
She actually writes poetries, by the way. So I told her to publish, but she never publishes, So
But that was just perfect. Like everything was perfect. I'll be the first person to buy if you do.
See, you already have someone who wants to.
Wow.
What more do you need when Toluwani Obayan has said
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Perfect audience for me.
So along those lines, where you did name a female director, and actually we talked to Coyote, and there's a few interesting data points. So on our channel, I was looking at analytics, like who's coming in, who's watching our channel. It was almost like 70% women. And I guessed that it's because me and Benny are females that women are coming on. But Coyote said that the biggest consumers of Nollywood movies are women. That's why women-centric roles do so well, or movies do so well. It's so unique, first of all, to have for Nollywood to be a woman-centric, or have a larger woman consumer base. That's a very unique position to be in. Do you think that benefits your career and your perspective? Do you feel like, yes, I'm in the right place, and this is the best place for me to prosper?
I love the fact that it's happening. I love that it's not a misogynistic type of industry. I love that, but I don't. It's never really been part of my thought process. Maybe it's because of how I grew up. There's some people that grow up in spaces where they're very aware of their gender, I guess. I had a very good relationship with my dad. I have a brother. So for the most part, I've never really thought in lines of being a woman or not being a woman. I just don't like discrimination as a whole. I don't know if it benefits me. Maybe it does. I've just never really factored it into anything. Yeah. And there's so many female directors, many female producers, even when they're male directors. So maybe it does, but I've just not paid attention. And I'm going to do that from.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like if it's a male-centric movie, nobody questions it. But if there are more females in the movie, they're like, it's a chick flick, like all the guys are like, it's a chick flick. I'm like, it's a story about women. Why name it? I'm not going to say this. Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to say this is a whatever, rooster flick, whatever. So that's the thing. Like, I might be wrong, but in Nigeria, it seems like that's one really good thing, that maybe that's not a thing going on, where this is a chick flick and this is not a chick flick, and I will watch this and I won't watch this. Maybe it's a very good place to tell women-centric stories. I mean, that is maybe a leverage Nigerians have over other countries.
Sure. I think maybe part of it, but I was just thinking as you were talking, it's possible because we've not done blockbusters on scales like people get to do it in Bollywood or in Hollywood, especially because of the budgets and stuff. So I know that men love things that have a lot of testosterone, with the action and blowing up buildings and stuff. And I'm not saying that's all men love. I'm not trying to put men in a box, but we don't tend to have many films that can do that at standards that could be really satisfying, maybe for men. So maybe we do what we have with what with resources that are available, and then at the end of the day, it's women that are drawn in based on that, because maybe women want to listen to a story for much longer than men do and pay attention to the details and subtleties. It could be a factor. We've not researched this, but I was just thinking through as you were speaking about it.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. It could be the other way around. Rather than the consumer base being women, it could be the products that Nigeria is producing versus action movies. That's an interesting point. Is there a screenplay, and that this could be internationally on any level, where you felt like, wow, what a screenplay! Like, this movie has an amazing screenplay.
Wow, that would be a hard one, because there are a lot. Well, I would say, okay, maybe just because it's a favorite, so I don't know if it's the one that, like, there's quite a few. I would say maybe, can I say two, please? At
Sure.
least two?
Yeah.
Okay. Good Will Hunting. It was really, it took them 5 years to develop it, so I was like, wow, this is just really, it did everything it was supposed to do, and it didn't overdo it. There was no overkill. It was easy to understand, but it was really, it got to the heart. And we could see the character transitions. We could see a lot of symbolism being used. The dialogue was right. I also really loved, is it as good as it, it's not as good as it gets, in terms of endearment, that was an adaptation. I don't know if you've seen it, it came out in the 1980s. It's a really good script. It was adapted from a novel, but to see it play out, and there were many scenes that really held the viewer captive. It was one of the screenplays I studied while I was even writing This Lady Called Life, because it was very heavy on conversation. And I liked how, in terms of endearment, the director, who was also the writer, he gave each line of dialogue or each portion of dialogue a character, almost like a beginning, middle, and an end, where you think it's going this way, then it goes this way, and then it comes back this way. So you're invested in what's being said, not just the fact that they're talking.
Okay, that's awesome. I want to check out now Terms of Endearment. I haven't seen that one, but Good Will Hunting, oh my God, what an amazing movie. That's a phenomenal movie.
I'm talking about young, they were 25, I think 25 and 26, and they got the Oscars for the screenplay that year. So it was just really inspiring as well. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. So.
Yeah. So in terms of like the effects of COVID-19, right? COVID-19 really brought up the platforms like Netflix and OTT because people couldn't go there. I mean, as sad as COVID-19 is, do you feel that that has benefited the Nigerian industry with the OTT platforms being more in the forefront? Like, what do you see happening? And also, do you see certain kind of content emerging because Netflix has some liberties that you can put certain kinds of content on it? We saw that in India, there were some very, I don't know what's the right word, rated R content. Very rated R content that came out on, and everybody was like, whoa, but the stories were interesting, so people liked that content. Do you see any kind of trend like this with Nollywood movies?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's really close actually, because definitely 2020 was when the pandemic really closed everything down, right? Personally, I saw personally in my work that I got in a period where a lot of people had to stop work or find new jobs or start working remote, because I had kind of always worked like that. It didn't change too much, but I had a lot more gigs coming my way because people wanted to watch things. People needed to be in that period, and producers took advantage. I won't say advantage, but they took the opportunity to create much more. So, and it's changed the trend. It's made there to be a shift. Like Netflix is steadily on the increase in Nigerian homes. And I would link that to something else. Before Netflix, back in the day in the 90s, Nigeria started with the home video culture. I think India had that too. you just have a lot of tapes. You buy the tapes and you play them,
Yeah.
borrow the tape from your family or from a video store. So we had this home video culture. We didn't have that much of a cinematic culture. We had more of a home video culture. And in a way, Netflix has come on board with that, but made it just more of a digital experience. So the OTT kind of situation now just is much closer to home than actually what we've had in the cinemas. So it's not surprising that people have found solace or comfort in going on those type of platforms to watch things. So I think it's around to stay, and I think it gives every single person the chance to actually create. Before, with the cinematic experiences, film tended to be a bit more elitist because it's not everyone that can afford or can go on a stage of creating something that can be shown on cinema for the OTT platforms, even if it's on YouTube, actually, not just things like Netflix. People can pick up anything, a phone camera, do whatever they need to do, and it could go viral and they have a chance. So I love the way it kind of balances the scale and gives everyone who wants to express a chance to do that. And if it's good enough, people will pick it up and love it without there being any discrimination or without you belonging to a club.
That's a really good point. That's true.
Yeah. I think we have seen the same trend in India. I mean, this was even before COVID-19, actually. With YouTube, there were some YouTube series that were coming out, and they were so good. Like, I would not watch a movie, I would watch that series because they were so interesting, and they were made by these, YouTuber people or small budget production companies, and they did very, very well. Like, so even before COVID-19 hit, that happened, and during COVID-19, obviously, it really took away the elitism. Actually, like, people don't go into theaters as much. They want to watch Netflix, or they watch it on their laptop or YouTube or whatever it is. So I do think it's a good thing, because then the audience is the judge. It's like no one's going to stop you from creating. The audience is going to decide whether you stay or whether you go, and that's how it should be, I feel.
Yeah. What do you think is in the future? What is the future for Nollywood now?
I think the future of Nollywood, as far as I can tell, is better storytelling. Like, we're getting better on visuals already, but I see a hunger for stories to be told. I see people asking more questions. They want to pay attention. They want to spend time. They don't just want to spit things out just because. Maybe happening slowly, but at least the fact that there are more people every day waking up to this realization means that there's hope. So yes, like, as long as we have people who are coming to the realization, gradually, at least the next generation of filmmakers would also be great storytellers. I'm really looking forward.
And what is the future for you, Toluwani? What is your future? What do you see?
Only God knows that, truly. But I think it's just more exploration. Like, it's not going to be boxed. Definitely, I'll try my hands at different things. All in all, I know storytelling will always be in whatever thing I'm going to be. It could be through music, it could be through books, it could be through film, but I'll tell stories. That's one thing I'm sure. What's in the future for you? What's in your future? The poetry book or?
See, this is a sign, Benny. This is a sign. If Toluwani is asking you for a poetry book, you should write a poetry book.
Well, I guess I should. I have a lot of stuff ready. I think, this is a sign. Maybe I should get it published or something. Maybe I'll do it.
Please do.
Yeah. I'll leave it to the viewers or to the readers. They like it, they take it. If they don't like it, it's quite fine. I like it anyways because it's mine.
One last question. What are you hoping in terms of what kind of content comes out of Nigeria? Like, for the future, how do you hope? Like, what is your personal hope? What do you want to see come out of Nigeria?
I think I want to see content that's extremely original. I feel that gradually we're getting there. I've seen things that are original, but I feel we still do this thing where we're looking to more established industries to tell us what is permissible. And I think we could do more than that, because before film came into view, Africa has had a very rich folklore culture. So storytelling isn't new to the continent, something that has always been. I don't really see folklore forms really coming into the film. I see us trying to balance both worlds, and I don't think that's a bad thing at the heart of it. But I would really love to see what we can create when we're not just trying to get permission to tell stories the way we want to. That level of originality. Everyone should just be true to the expression. If they're better expressing in the language, just use your language and use it with reckless abandon. And it doesn't have to be tactless. It can be really artful. So, yeah, that's my hope for the future, I guess.
That would be so beautiful to see, because like there's so much beauty in Africa, the clothing, the cultures, the food, the dances. I mean, oh my gosh, that would be so amazing to see.
Yeah. Oh, well, I just this that it has been an amazing discussion, a good talk. It's so nice to have had the chance to interact with you. Really
Thank
good.
you.
I'm so pleased to meet a person like you. This is just great.
Thank you. Same here. Same here.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, you're very inspirational with all the things that you're doing, and you opening up about your story at such a young age. I mean, you were not even in your 30s. I was like such a goofball in my 20s, and here you are like making a career and being true to yourself, being true to yourself while making a career. That's a core most people cannot even hit in much later in their lives. So I think it's amazing what you have done, and it's a privilege to talk to you. I really appreciate that you agreed to come on our small channel and have a chat with us. I thank you so much.
You're a big channel. You're a huge channel that's doing amazing things. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.